Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry for the absolute Noah's Ark level flooding of Spider-Man videos these past couple of weeks. I don't know, I've just been in a Spider-Man mood lately. So, here we are!
Another one.
So I was having a discussion with a buddy of mine, and I forgot how, but the conversation steered into the public's perception of Spider-Man, or I guess, more so within the Marvel Universe, that is. And he really started fighting me when I was telling him that the people in the Marvel Universe generally do not like Spider-Man. He's a controversial figure at best. Over time, he'd garner a reputation as a fun local figure in New York, but I never saw him as being Marvel's Superman, which is what my buddy sees him as being. Granted, he's read comics, he follows comics, but he's not fucking comic book guy from The Simpsons like I am about it. He's more into superheroes by way of movies and television. He's told me that, and that's totally fair. That's how he finds enjoyment out of this thing that we both enjoy, and I'm not going to yuck anybody's yums. But it did get me thinking, because this is something that I've noticed a lot recently. I feel like people who don't follow Spider-Man in comics and more so keep up with him in the realm of movies, TV shows, and video games think of Spider-Man as being the Marvel Universe equivalent of Superman, because that's how all the adaptations portray him, as this well-beloved institution of the superhero community, where he's a beacon of hope to the citizens of the city, and he's the beating heart of every man, woman, and child around the world, and that is just not the case with Spider-Man in the comics. In the comics, Spider-Man is less so the Marvel Universe analog for Superman, and more so the superhero equivalent of the New York City rat guy. Because in the way the Marvel Universe is set up, you have the Avengers, heroes like Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, and then you got the Fantastic Four, and characters like that are all viewed in the same way that we in the real world look at Hollywood celebrities and major political figures, or major corporate or public figures. Now, whether people like them or dislike them usually comes down to whatever story the writers, artists, and editors want to tell. Regardless, they are of a higher echelon of society. Even the X-Men, who are hated and feared by humanity due to being, quite frankly, disgusting genetic abnormalities because they're God's mistake, and I'm not racist, I'm just proud of my species. But even the X-Men go on talk shows, and they give speeches, they live in a $1 trillion mansion on the outskirts of New York. These are the staples. These are the pillars. These are the figureheads of the Marvel Universe. And then there's Spider-Man. Spider-Man, for all intents and purposes, is the guy who, in a world full of superheroes, is just a guy on the street. He doesn't have a PR agent. The press that he does get is mostly negative press, and because he's a figure of total anonymity, just by nature of being a superhero, you find yourself in precarious situations where somebody is dressed up in your costume and robbing banks, or the cops pull up and you're standing over a dead body. Stuff like that. Spider-Man can't just tell the cops the ins and outs of what's happening or clear up any confusion without having to deal with due process, which would lead to his identity being revealed, so he's often on the run from the cops, and that doesn't help his PR problems either. Another thing that none of the movies or TV shows, or even the video games address, is that Peter Parker is a very confrontational personality. He has a major inferiority complex, and he has a massive chip on his shoulder. So interactions with not just the general public, but the superhero community at large, right about 50-50. If you catch Spider-Man on a good day, well, then you're going to think that he's a funny guy, despite being a little weird. But if you catch him on a bad day, forevermore, you're going to look at him the same way you look at the crazy homeless guy who yells at people on the train. And this is where a lot of the conflict in Spider-Man stories comes from. or at the very least, the superhero-related conflict. Because Spider-Man stories aren't really built around the high-flying superhero spectacle. I mean, it's there, but it's in the background. It's the B story. The A material is the psycho soap opera that is the life and times of Peter Parker, and watching him go on weird adventures as Spider-Man as sort of an escape from his real life into a secondary life, but then taking the lessons that he's learned from his adventures as Spider-Man into his life as Peter Parker, and learning and growing from those experiences. But a lot of that is the initial appeal of the character. That's the point of his existence within the Marvel Universe. In a world of cosmic gods and super celebrities, Spider-Man is just a regular guy. And part of being a regular guy, or the average Joe, is that family and loved ones aside, you're on your own. People don't know who you are, and a lot of people really don't care. People in positions of authority and power are going to use their influence to either destroy you or define you, and it's your responsibility to rise above that. Even if you feel like you've been broken down to your last atom, you still have to get back up, and you still have to stay in the fight. And it's also your responsibility to help others around you do the same. Because after all, he's still a superhero. You still have to have that message in there. He still has to be inspirational. But it's a different kind of inspiration than, say, Superman or The Flash or Captain America or Batman. He's more so an inspiration to the reader rather than the masses in the Marvel Universe. Because we're the ones who are following Peter's story, not them. And I don't think a lot of the general public gets that, because none of the more prominent adaptations of the character really play with what makes him unique and pit him against the backdrop of the Marvel Universe. And because of that, he winds up taking on a more Superman-style role by default. But even when they do pit him against the backdrop of the larger Marvel Universe, they make him like an ooh-woo soft boy who's best friends with everybody, and he always has a smile on his face, and he always talks about hope and optimism, which, again, puts him in that Marvel Superman position.
I try so hard to be likable. Why does everyone always want to fight me?
And that's fine for those adaptations. But that's just not where that character comes from in the comics. And I guess a large part of me is worried about the symbiotic nature between the comics and the other forms of media, which we've already kind of started to see take hold over the past 15 or so years. And I don't know. Have we just gotten to a place where Spider-Man is just Marvel's Superman? Or at the very least, that's the general consensus, and I just didn't get the memo? Am I the one who's out of touch? Be honest. Let me know down below in the comment section. If you like this video, hit the like button, share support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I am the Mystical Green Beanie. Thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.